for role models, and history is one of the places we looked. We rediscovered Emma Goldman, a late 19th, early 20th century political activist. She called herself an anarchist, a person who said there were no just governments, and governments were really unnecessary. She campaigned for workers' rights. She demonstrated against America's entry into World War I and against the draft. And she campaigned for women's rights. The Attorney General of the United States called her the most dangerous woman in America. Today, I'd like to reintroduce you to Emma Goldman. Ladies and gentlemen, today I will speak to you about the woman question and birth control. The woman question is, what will it take for women to be free and equal? I see there are some policemen in the audience, no doubt here to take notes and see if I violate the laws against teaching about birth control. Gentlemen, I am happy to see you. I expect that you will learn something here today as well. And please, if there's anything you are not able to capture, ask me to repeat myself. I will be glad to do so. For 40 years, we have had these Comstock laws which said educational materials about birth control and abortion are lewd, lascivious, and obscene. Well, if it is a crime to teach about happy motherhood and healthy children, I am glad to be a criminal. I'm not afraid of being arrested because I have gone to jail many times. In fact, I have learned to carry a book with me so that I always have something to read when I am in jail. And if I have to go to court, I will use the courtroom as I use this lecture platform as an opportunity to educate the public. Now, why do I teach about birth control? I teach about birth control because I have seen working people crushed into poverty because they were not able to limit the size of their families. I teach about birth control because I have seen too many poor women struggle to put food on the table in order to feed their children. And I teach about birth control because when I was a midwife on the Lower East Side, I saw too many women die in childbirth. But I teach about birth control not only for poor women, but because I understand that unless women are able to control reproduction and control their own bodies, they will not be free. I expect that there are some of you good people, respectable people of this city, who campaign against what you call white slavery and the traffic in women. Well, it is only a matter of degree whether a woman must sell herself to one man in marriage or to many men in prostitution. Does that shock you? I have seen many men, many women, who have had to trade their bodies in hopes of finding economic security in marriage. My own mother was a young widow with 2 little daughters when she married my father in hopes of finding economic security and protection from other men. And when I was only 15, my father called me to him. Emma, it is time for you to marry. I will arrange a marriage for you. Papa, I'm only 15. I don't want to get married. I love learning. I want to go to school. School. It's enough education already. What does a woman need to know? To make gefilte fish, to chop noodles, and to produce babies for her husband. But Papa, I don't want an arranged marriage. I wish to choose my own husband. I want to marry for love. Love. I am your father, and you will marry who I choose. I have supported you for 15 years. That's enough. Now it is time for some other man to support you. Papa, if you force me to have an arranged marriage, I will kill myself. I will drown myself in the Neva River. I have an idea. If you send me to America, I will never ask for another thing from you. And that, dear friends, is how I came to America, escaping from an arranged marriage. Do I believe in free love? Of course I believe in free love. What is love if it is not free? I was married once, soon after I came to America. I was 18, and I met a young man named Jacob. He worked in the factory with me in Buffalo, New York. I was lonely. He spoke Russian to me. We discussed books, and I thought it would be better to marry. But it was a big mistake. No sooner had we married than he forbid me to work, even though he needed my wages. And then I began to go to rallies where workers were trying to organize in unions. He was very jealous, and he accused me of going to meet other men. Being married did not protect love. This marriage had to end. But in order to get out of this marriage, I had to go to the rabbis and ask them for a divorce decree. And I swore, if I should ever love again, I would not ask the rabbis or the state for permission to marry. And if the love ended, I would not ask their permission to leave. And that is how I have lived my life. Now, there are some, perhaps among you, who have been working to get women the right to vote. And you believe that suffrage, the right to vote, will emancipate women. Do you not understand that if voting could make any real difference and bring about any change, it would be illegal? Those who campaign for women to get the right to vote argue that if women get the vote, it will end political corruption. It will not. They argue that if women get the right to vote, it will morally uplift men. It will not. And they argue that if women get the right to vote, it will free them from domestic slavery. It will not. In order to bring about such change, we will need much greater changes in the society, including giving women access to control over reproduction. That is why I speak out about birth control, because it is essential to freeing women. Understand this: the subjugation of women and the prohibition of birth control serves the interests of both the state and the capitalists. Now, when the war rages in Europe, it reminds us that the state wants women to produce many babies so that they will have soldiers to fight their wars. And the capitalists want women to produce many babies so that there will be many workers and they won't have to pay them high wages. And the capitalists and the state tell men, we will give you access to money and then you will have access to women. And the institution of marriage will protect your property, women, from other men. So, in order for women to be free, they must be able to practice birth control and control their own bodies. Now, there are some brave members of the Free Speech Committee in this audience who will now pass among you and sell an inexpensive pamphlet that will teach you the methods of the topic we are discussing today, and I urge you to buy this pamphlet. And I have a question up here. I will repeat for the audience. Yes, this lady objects. She says, God wants us to marry, sanctions our unions, and tells us to be fruitful and multiply. Madam, I invite you to come tomorrow night, then my topic will be atheism. Thank you.